professional realty group of Woods Brothers Real Estate. Get ready for the student section with Big Sky.
I ordered a cinnamon melt. Get to the window, get my food. It's 2 cinnamon rolls. I don't need 2 cinnamon rolls.
And Nick Sainert.
People were chucking like those little Hostess donuts. People were using their game day signs that they made as shields. It was awesome.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome into the student section. I'm Big Sky in with my co-host Nick Sainert. Nick, how you doing today?
Not too bad. How's it going, Big Sky? How was Nashville?
Nashville was about as expected, but for whatever reason, the group I was with, who is all country music fans, kept taking us to places that wasn't playing country music.
See, we had this discussion before you left. I thought it was going to be all country music.
Well, it was. So all the live music was super country, but then you'd go upstairs of these bars and these downtown places on Broadway and in Nashville, and it'd be like almost like an LA club with DJs doing a mix of all types of music, and that's usually where we would end up.
Really? Okay, so any good stories that from the trip?
Not really. No, just one guy in our group was dancing really goofy, like a deranged animal trying to pick up a chick, and it didn't work out for him. So that was pretty funny to watch.
Let me think how to word this here. How excited were you when you saw Milwaukee win last night? Because the Suns, everybody was expecting them to win last night.
So I listened to the majority of the game on the radio, actually, and I only turned on the TV for about the last minute of it. And when Giannis got that alley-oop from Drew and drew the foul on it, I was clapping. I'm not pretty stoic. I don't show a lot of emotion. I was clapping. My mom would tell you the exact same thing. I don't.
That's shocking.
I don't show a ton of emotion unless it's a cinnamon melt situation. Then I do show a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
I clapped my hands. I jumped up out of my chair. I screamed. I was the only one home. I screamed, ran around the living room a little bit, and then sat back down to watch Giannis miss the free throw.
Do you know any Suns fans?
Do Suns fans exist? Probably not after last night. Probably not after last night.
The Suns and 4 guy exists. So are we thinking Bucks and 6?
Absolutely, Bucks and 6.
Why?
Well, the next game's in Milwaukee. They've won. They're a really, really dominant home team. Milwaukee is, and the momentum has swung so far in Milwaukee's favor over the course of the last 3 games, and Giannis is playing on such a high level, or playing at such a high level, that I just don't see the Bucks surrendering a home game right now.
Okay. We can get back to that. 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. Both of those are open for you all show long. Big Sky, since you were gone, and I haven't seen you in a couple of days since you were in the good old state of Tennessee, would you call it a good old state?
I mean, it was nice.
Okay. Would you go back? Good place to celebrate.
I have
a 21st.
family that lives in Tennessee, so yes, I will go back.
Is it a good place to celebrate a 21st?
That'd be a question for my buddy, because he's the one that actually celebrated his 21st there, but I think he had a good time.
Okay, good. Okay, so since we had not talked in a couple days, Trev Alberts is hired as Nebraska's newest athletic director. What was your initial thought, and then has your thought changed in the following days, if that makes sense?
Well, of the original candidates, as soon as Bill Moose was fired, I don't think Alberts was at the top of my list of candidates I wanted. But as people continued to drop out, and it became apparent that it was really down to like Davison, Cook, Alberts, those 3 Nebraska guys, Alberts was the one that I was looking at as kind of the guy that I wanted, mainly because of his experience as an athletic director at a D1 school already. So I'm pleased that they chose Alberts over the other 2, but I can't say I'm ecstatic about the hire. It's probably the most meh hire I've experienced since I got to Nebraska.
Does it feel like low-hanging fruit?
I mean, I think they just had to offer him the job, and he was going to take it as long as they didn't undercut him salary-wise a ton.
They did not, because they're giving him a raise of over $500,000.
which was to be expected going from
Yeah.
to Nebraska. But I mean, I feel like Nebraska probably could have done better prestige-wise. I don't think it was a bad hire. I still don't understand why they got rid of Bill Moose. And I thought Bill Moose was doing a really good job. And so anybody was going to have to measure up to that. And I don't think you can have somebody come in and immediately measure up to what Bill Moose was doing. Even Jamie Pollard, he's been at Iowa State for 16 years and they're just now finding success. There'd be concerns there too. So I don't really know if there would have been anybody that I would have been necessarily like ecstatic for, but I'm pleased with this hire.
See, I wonder about, we can go back to this about why they got rid of Bill Moose or why Bill Moose suddenly retired or whatever, however you want to call that situation. I feel like it's just goes back to that they wanted stability. I feel like they just wanted stability in their athletic department. And that's something that if you fast forward, 12 months here, Bill Moose isn't going to be in that athletic department. After December of 2022, he was not going to be in that athletic department. And so I seriously think that that's probably why. That's the only reason that I keep going back to personally. And I know there's other, reasons out there that people are talking about. But for me personally, that's the only reason that makes sense on why they got rid of Bill Moose, unless there was something internally that they didn't want people finding out about. But
does firing Bill Moose when he said he's going to fulfill his contract and then you can find somebody else, does that show stability?
That obviously does not show, like, that does not.
Is that demonstrative of stability? No, it's not. That's firing a guy a year before he's done, right before football season, right before Big Ten media days. That is not stability.
I feel like it's pretty obvious though that Bill Moose did not see it coming. Because it's not like the Husker athletic department told, hey, Bill, tell the fans that you're going to be here through your contract. Put the expectation of 8 or 9 wins on Scott Frost. They didn't tell him to do that. That was just who Bill Moose was. And so then when that's especially reigned true when it came out that he's like, he said to Sam McEwen in the Omaha World Herald, I believe, apparently it was time for me to retire.
Right. He didn't even know he was being let go.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the athletic department didn't know this was coming down the pipe. So why would this be the move for stability? This is a move for instability. You're creating a lot of unknowns by firing Bill Moose. We didn't have any questions really about where we sat as a program with Bill Moose as the AD. We don't now. Everything that we thought we knew about Nebraska football and Scott Frost going forward into year 4 of the Frost era has been thrown out the window because now we have a new AD.
But long term, Big Sky, is we know Trev Alberts is going to be here for a very long time, unless the whole athletic department goes south in 5-10 years.
Are you going to look at me and tell me that an AD is going to be here for a long time when we've had Eichhorst and Moose?
You cannot point to Eichhorst though when that is a situation that he should have never been here in the first place. Eichhorst should have never been here in the first place. Bill Moose was brought in to hire coaches. That's what's been talked about the whole entire time since the Bill Moose news has broke. Bill Moose, he was not going to be here after his his contract was, had run its course. So long term, this is a move for stability. It's a move for stability. They're not stable right now. But in 3 years, when we don't have to worry about hiring a new athletic director next year, and when we don't have to worry about hiring a new athletic director right when a new facility opens up, that's where the stability comes into play.
It's not a stable move when you've been firing ADs and moving on from ADs at such a rapid pace over the course of the last 20 years.
So are we saying Eichhorst should have stayed?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. But firing Bill Moose at a seemingly random point in the summer is not a stable move. That is not the move that a stable program makes.
Maybe I know, and that's what I'm getting at, is that maybe it's a move to get to a stable point, because now we know that Trev Alberts, a 50-year-old athletic director, he's not going to go anywhere. This is his job. This is not Nebraska's not a stair stepper job.
I think the better, more stable course of action would to have let Bill Moose fulfill his contract, probably prep someone like the AD that was filling in.
Garrett Classy, yep.
Garrett Classy. Train him as the AD, get him ready to take over, and then have an AD the moment Bill Moose retires. The moment Bill Moose's contract is up, Classy steps in as AD. That would have been a stable move. This is an unstable move. Now we're bringing in a guy from a low-tier Division I school who, granted, he has Nebraska ties, and it is a Division I school. I hate discounting Division I schools because people do it to my Montana Grizzlies all the time. It's real. They're real sports teams. They're real programs, but it's still smaller than Nebraska. He's stepping into a much bigger pond, much bigger ocean with Nebraska, and that's not the stable move. We already had a ship captain. We already had Bill Moose. He already had his first man, his first lieutenant, whatever you want to call it, ready to take over at the wheel. And instead, we just blew up the ship. We just exploded the ship.
I disagree because Garrett Classy's still going to be involved in the athletic department. We heard on it when Trev Alberts' press conference how great of a job Garrett Classy did filling in.
So is Classy going to train Alberts how to do his job, or is Alberts going to come in and do his job?
No, but Alberts does not seem like, if you listen to his press conference, Alberts does not seem like the guy to just come in and say, hey, we're going to run this my way. We are doing it my way. He's going to lean on the people that are in the athletic department already because he's not stupid. He's a cool, calm, and collected dude that values relationships. That's the main word of his whole press conference on, I think it was Wednesday. It was, hey, I got to develop the trust of the people in the building, in the athletic department. I got to build the trust of all and the rapport with all my coaches. I have to build the trust and the relationship with all the student athletes as well. There's no way he can come in, and he knows this. He cannot come in and expect to just wipe everything clean and do it his way, the way that he wants to, right off the bat, because he knows that won't work. He's got to get people to buy into what he's seeing.
He took over the UNO athletic director position in 2009. And in 2011, he cut the UNO wrestling program after not developing a relationship with the head coach. He also cut the football program. Those seem to be his decisions. And now you're trying to tell me that he's here to develop relationships, build trust, and not do things his way.
The reason that he did not cut the football and wrestling programs just because he wanted to. He did so that the UNO athletic department could be a stable athletic department. If you look at how that department developed in his years at UNO, you would look at Trev Alberts and say, man, this guy, he made some tough decisions, but he did what's best for the program and the athletic department.
I don't think Trev Alberts was a bad hire, but it was a bad decision from Nebraska to move on from Bill Moose when it did, and it's certainly not a move for stability. And I understand what you're saying, that you think this could build stability. I think we already had it to some extent.
But we didn't. If we fast forward 12 months, we don't. Maybe there was a reason that they didn't mold Garrett Classy. Maybe there was. Maybe that's why they didn't do that, is because they're like, you know what? This just isn't the guy that we want having the final say in everything.
Then why make him the interim AD while Bill Moose is after Bill Moose is
because
gone?
It's an interim. I'm just saying that there might be something that we're missing or that we are not seeing, because when I look at this, it is a move to build stability. The Nebraska athletic department, more importantly, the Nebraska football program, which is the main driver here, is very unstable right now.
With Moose, there was guarantees. With Trev Alberts, it's all
What are the
uncertainty.
guarantees with Moose?
That he's going to fulfill his contract, then we'll have somebody new. We knew what we were getting in him. He was a guy who likes to build facilities. We brought him in to build facilities. We were building facilities, and he was going to be very bullish on the success of Nebraska football, and he was going to hold Scott Frost to that expectation of success. Those were the things we knew about Bill Moose.
So do you not think Trev Alberts is going to hold expectations?
We don't know. He might, but we don't know. That's what there's uncertainty, and that's instability. That's all you got when you hired a new AD. It doesn't matter what AD you hired. It was going to be something that created instability and uncertainty. And that's what I don't like. I'm more critiquing the decision by the program
that's
to
what we're
fire
talking
Bill
about.
Moose,
That's what we're
and
talking
not
about,
the decision to hire Trev Alberts. Like I said, to lead the segment, I think Trev Alberts was probably the best person they got out of those final three candidates.
I just look at this, and we're gonna play a clip from Trev Alberts' press conference where he talks about the Husker football program. But I just feel like if you were listening to his press conference, and once again, 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. You can also comment on the Starter Heyman video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are on there as well. So one thing that he said is he talked about expectations and not dealing with excuses. And if you're a Nebraska fan, maybe you talked about how we hear Bill Moos, he was bullish and he was bold with his predictions. Maybe that's something that Nebraska doesn't need. Maybe if we take a more of a conservative and lighter approach to it, to where, hey, maybe we don't put an expectation or like a number on the expectations this year. Maybe that helps out the Nebraska football program from get back.
Maybe that helps the football program to not have those expectations, but it certainly doesn't help the fans. And that's not what the fans, that's not what the fans want to hear. And in Nebraska, the football fans can easily turn into a mob, and it's hostile. It can be hostile amongst the fan program relationship can become hostile very quickly. And I just don't think that an athletic director can come in and say, I fully expect 4 wins. I don't expect more than 5 wins. I don't expect to make a bowl game this year. I'm not putting that expectation on our football team. That will not play well in the Nebraska sports sphere.
So maybe you don't even put a number out there. Maybe if you're the athletic director,
the fans, that's going to be another problem for the fans. You're kind of boxed into a corner as an AD, and Bill Moos was willing to go out and put those expectations on the football program because he knew what the fans wanted. And I think that's why he was doing such a good job. Is Bill Moos knew what had his finger on the pulse of the fan base, and he knew how to work the fan base. Let's be real. He knew how to work Nebraska fans for every piece of ounce of hype, ounce of Kool-Aid. He knew how to get everything out of Nebraska fans.
Here is Trev Alberts he was asked about his thoughts on the Nebraska football program, because obviously from him working in Omaha, he made it very clear that he wanted to make sure his student athletes in Omaha knew that he was putting them first and foremost, but he did admit that he kept tabs on the Husker football program. So here are Trev Alberts' thoughts on Scott Frost's program.
Well, I mean, certainly we haven't achieved at the level that we all hope to attain, right? But I believe strongly in Scott Frost's leadership and the coaches that we have in the staff. I am really looking forward to diving in with Scott. The first thing I got to do, and not just Scott, Will and Fred and Amy and every one of our coaches. That's why I talked about earning trust. Listen, you got to earn the trust, and you got to dive in. I want to be helpful. I want to be helpful. I will never call a play. I don't tell coaches who to recruit. But I think bigger picture, some of the culture things, I think I can be helpful. But I'm really excited about the future of Husker football and the rest of our sports, Sam.
Here's what I think. Trev Alberts seems more of a hands-on guy. And that was one little bit of a criticism that Bill Moos had, is that he was hands-off. And I will admit, coming into Bill Moos's tenure, everybody thought, you know what, this is good for Nebraska football. An athletic director who is hands-off, who he's going to let his coaches coach, do their job. He's going to watch and sift through the program from afar. And that didn't work as well, maybe. And so now you have Trev Alberts come in, and it's, guy that's he admitted that he's going to let the coaches coach. He's not going to recruit players, obviously. That's not the job of an athletic director. But he straight up admitted, he's like, bigger picture ideas I can be a help of. But first I got to obtain the trust of Scott Frost.
I mean, you just hear what he says about Scott Frost and how he trusts in his leadership, and he's excited to get to work with Frost. The entire coaching staff for the football team has to take that as encouraging and motivating and reassuring, because from the looks of it with Moose, do they have 1 year left to prove it, and then they're getting shipped out. So that certainly seems to be something that they can take away from it. And that could be a way of building trust with Alberts that Alberts did with Frost there. But again, I wish this wasn't where we were at, but I'm pleased with the decision that they made, and I think that Trev Alberts is approaching it the right way.
Let me ask you this, and we might have to continue this into the next segment. Did Scott Frost's seat get any warmer with Trev Alberts being hired?
I don't think you can say
nothing changed.
I don't think his seat got hotter because it was already, as we saw according to the CBS Sports article, he's already a win or be fired.
Well, it seems like from a national point of view, Scott Frost is on the hot seat. But if you dive in more locally, it seems like the consensus thought is that he has more time.
Well, he's got such a high buyout at this point that you can reasonably assume that it's possibly 2 more years of Scott Frost simply because his buyout is too large.
I just wonder, maybe, and that's where this back to the stability. I hate to keep repeating it, but I feel like maybe that's where it is, or the main reason for this is that next year, what if Nebraska has to get rid of Scott Frost, but hey, we still have our athletic director. Maybe it's to where Nebraska.
Well, all that happens is the exact same thing again. Is Trev Alberts as an AD is going to tie his own success to whatever football coach he hires, which is how it's always gone at Nebraska, and that's not stability. That's what's been creating all this instability. Is you see a guy like Sean Eckhorst come in, fire Bo Pelini, and he's tying his success as Nebraska AD to his hire of Mike Riley. Mike Riley was terrible. Everyone hates Sean Eckhorst because of it. Now Bill Moose comes in, hires Scott Frost. Frost isn't doing well. The opinion of Moose goes down.
No, that I don't think that just because Scott Frost is not doing well, I don't think Bill Moose's thought or opinion of Bill Moose goes down. If we've talked about it before, everybody wanted Scott Frost. Everybody wanted Scott Frost. And so if any logical person looks at that hire and goes, Bill Moose did what he had to do for Nebraska's program to keep Nebraska fans happy. Is that wrong?
No, that's correct. It's the AD. Their success is tied directly to the success of the coach that they hire, and that's the situation you're putting Trev Alberts in. So the moment that whatever new coach you hire comes in and is terrible through the first 3 years, your opinion, oh, that's Trev Alberts' only hire. If Fred's doing good, it's a Bill Moose hire. If Amy's doing good, she was an Alberts hire. If Will's doing good, that was all Moose. All right. So the 3 most important coaches, if Mark Manning is doing good, I don't even think he was a Bill Moose hire. So now you're tying Trev's success directly to whatever head football coach he hires. And if he sucks, that's the only coach he's hired. And that's the way it's been with every athletic director since I've been conscious of Nebraska sports. Even Tom Osborne, his success as AD was tied to Bo Pelini. Everyone loves Tom because of his time as the coach and as the member of Congress. But as an AD, I think a lot of fans didn't think he did a very good job. And that's because Bo Pelini was the coach he hired. At Nebraska, the football coach is the most important person, and their perceived success in the fan base is how every other person in the athletic department is measured. And because of that, we don't have stability. And that's why the move to fire Moose was just more instability.
I want to get to one more clip here of Trev Alberts from Wednesday. He was asked by our very own Steve Sipple on what prepared him for this job, because that was a lot of the discussion is he going to be able to handle running a much bigger program here at UNL than he did at UNO. And so here's Trev Alberts talking about what prepared him for this athletic director job.
Well, that's a great question, Steve. I mean, first and foremost, the UNO job is a tough job. There were some pretty incredible challenges. And I think what it really forced was, for us as a staff, it galvanized, it sort of forced a sense of unity of purpose, in that in order to overcome some of those challenges, that was a requirement. I think the other thing that was really important is, very early on, I recognized how significant the challenge was and that I needed help. And we were unafraid to go out and ask for help. One of the most remarkable things about the state of Nebraska is this is a place that cares deeply about public education, and they care deeply about the University of Nebraska, and they're willing to help. You have to be humble enough to ask for it, and you have to listen.
I want to admit this personally. When I saw that Trev Alberts was hired, I thought to myself, okay, low-hanging fruit. I felt like the guy that Nebraska was. I don't want to call it a backup plan, but it kind of felt like a backup plan right at the start. Because you hear the names Jamie Pollard, you hear the name Ed Stewart, who's working in the Big 12 administrative role, and you're thinking, okay, all these guys, they have big resumes. Jamie Pollard especially has Matt Campbell working out really, really well at Iowa State in Ames. And I thought, Trev Alberts just kind of feels like low-hanging fruit for this Nebraska athletic department. And then I hear him talk, and then I'm reading and sifting through what he's done at UNO, and I'm thinking there's no way, in my opinion, there's no reason that I can point at specifically and say that this won't work. And it's very admirable, number one. Number two, it's very respectable knowing that our athletic director, Nebraska's athletic director, it puts you in a comfortable spot knowing that they are not afraid to ask for help. And that just because they are the most important guy in the room, just because they have the final say, something that is going to benefit everybody, all parties involved, whether you are the lowest ranking person in the room or the athletic director, something that's going to benefit all parties involved is communication and trust.
I think that there are some pretty basic foundational things that need to exist in every athletic department. And just going up on the podium and saying that those are the things you're going to do is fantastic. And that's what Alberts did. And that's really encouraging as a Husker fan.
And
when you're facing that instability and uncertainty. I'm going to withhold all judgment, and I'm not going to get excited until I can see it in practice. I think we've seen plenty of people come to Nebraska recently full of promise and come out and talk big in press conferences and it not pan out at all, and they don't put their actions and their success where their words were. So hearing all those things from Trev Alberts is fantastic. But as a Husker fan, I'm a little bit jaded right now by the words at the podium. So I need to see it in action, and I need to see it succeed and be beneficial for all the Husker sports teams before I go out and say, wow, that was something really, really well said. I'm really glad he said that.
I agree with you to an extent, just because I'm in the same place as you, is that Nebraska fans, as Nebraska fans, we hear about it on the podium, from whether it be from a coach or whether it be from a somebody in the athletic department about how good things are going inside and internally. And we haven't seen it. So I agree with you to an extent. Also, another side of me says they have to say stuff like that when it's an introductory press conference, because they have to do their best to win over the fan base as much as they can in the press conference. So good stuff there. If you missed any of that, you can check it out on the ticketfm.com under the podcast section. Let's get to break. More to come on the student section.
Want more Big Sky and Nick? Follow them on Twitter at Radio Big Sky and Nick_Sainer. More of the student section next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Get your vehicle ready for summer driving with our no-cost, no-obligation courtesy inspection. We'll check your brakes, belts, hoses, fluid, suspension, tires, and more. It's absolutely free. And drive away with extra savings, too, with a $70 reward card after submission when you buy 4 new Michelin passenger or light truck tires. You've got a lot going on this summer. Getting there should be the easy part.
T.O. Haas, Tire and Auto, a tradition of trust.
We're out to prove that having a face for radio is just a myth, and you can decide for yourself by watching all of our shows on 93.7 The Ticket on the new video stream, sponsored by Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Now you can watch Early Break, DP and Stevens, The Recruiting Hour, The Drive, and more on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube every day and in real time. Watch 93.7 The Ticket shows today and every day on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers video stream on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
I asked what kind of family she wanted. She said, "A family like yours."
Learn more about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It's still scorching hot outside, but soon enough, you'll be back in stadiums again for the first time in 2 years, donning all your favorite fall attire. Gear up for the season with 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of Big Ten Media Days on July 22nd and 23rd, live from Indianapolis. Connor Happer, DP, and Steve Sipple will be in Indy for our shows on Thursday and Friday, getting the latest news from Nebraska and everyone else around the conference. Coverage of Big Ten Media Days is brought to you by T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Pillar Restaurant Group, and Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers Real Estate.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
I lost my dad to prescription opioid addiction. Everybody knows somebody who is struggling with this very problem. Losing my mentor, my best friend, somebody who made me the person that I am, he took one pill too many that ultimately killed him.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Developed by CDC.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
We're in this together, and we will get through this together. The vaccines are tested effective and needed.
Welcome to the clinic with Charm.
Get your COVID-19 vaccine so we can do this. And this. And this.
We are now boarding flight.
Together again, because we got through it together. This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to the student section with Big Sky and Nick Sainert.
We are back here on the student section. Great AD discussion last segment between myself, Big Sky, and Nick Sainert.
Yeah, I want to move on to this here because I talked about this on the drive earlier this week with Happer, and we were gonna delay it to the following day, but then I wasn't on the show on Friday. What constitutes or what's going to give you confidence for years to come watching this Husker football team this year? Is there a win total that we can point to? Because Nebraska, we're hearing it's all about making a bowl game. It's all about, as long as we get to 6 wins, we're going to be okay. I question that to a degree because personally I sit back and I say, all right, we're going to be at the end of the season where Nebraska is going to be 6-6 overall. They're going to go to a bowl game. Maybe they finish 6-7. Maybe they finish 7-6. Let's go ahead and do it where they finish 7-6. They win a bowl game. I don't know how much confidence that gives the fan base going into the following year. Because yes, it's progress. And yes, the schedule lightens up a little bit. But it's 7-6. And so this is where I want to get your guys' thoughts as well. 402-464-5685, Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line. Both of those are still open to you, as well as on the video stream. We can throw your comments on the screen as well. I don't know, because then you look at it and you say, fall or next year, and you think Nebraska's losing their starting quarterback and Adrian Martinez. We don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. 7 wins doesn't really tell you that you've found an established running back game or running game or running back in the backfield. I don't know how much confidence you can put on a 7-win season.
7 wins, I would be quite ecstatic, actually. 6 or 7 wins, I'd be very pleased, because right now I have them starting 3-0 and finishing 0-9.
Okay, maybe that's a better way to look at it. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at, is that, yeah, you're going to be happy. Nebraska fans will be happy finishing the season with 7 wins or 6 wins or getting to a bowl game. But then going into the year after that, are we going to be confident in saying that this team can make a jump to 9 wins?
I don't think that should be the expectation is, 1 6 to 7 win season. Mm-hmm. All right, now to 9. Absolutely not. In fact, whenever you shift to a new quarterback, there should be expectations to drop in wins. I mean, a lot of this is why I think the general Husker fan might have what you suggest going from 7 to 9 wins. A lot of Husker fans do not like Adrian Martinez as a quarterback. And so losing him, a lot of people are going to see that as a positive, as a gain. So they're going to see somebody like Heinrich Haarberg go out in the spring game in his first week as a starter, and they're going to be excited. They're going to be, oh, this guy's so much better than Adrian Martinez. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's 6'6", big kid. He's from Kearney. He's a Nebraska guy. This is our guy. This is Scott Frost's guy. This is going to get us to 9 wins. That should not be the expectation. Absolutely not. If we go 6-7, I mean, if the Huskers go 6-7, I'll be very pleased, and I will expect 6-7.
Yeah. 402-464-5685, Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Hammond text line. Those are still open. We have a phone call. What's up, caller?
Hey, Big Sky and the Sane Train. I didn't know you guys recorded this live. I've heard this show several Sundays. I thought you guys recorded like on a Friday or something. So
sometimes we have to pre-record. Cool. Sometimes we're live.
You guys are pretty rock solid. That's pretty cool. We're all planning on 3-0, but we've learned we can't do that. That's what's scary to me as a Husker fan. It's like, oh, we're definitely planning on beating Buffalo and Fordham and Illinois, but why do we plan on that anymore? And I think this team has been working hard. It feels like we're going to have a better season. Feels like the defense will be, solid. So much returning, and they're solid guys on defense mostly. But man, we can't pencil in any wins.
I'm not penciling in any wins. That's just my prediction. Is 3-9. Start the season 3-0. So that's just what my expectation is. I'm not planning on or betting on any Nebraska wins.
402-464-5685. We have another phone call. We'll go to that one real quick here. How's it going, caller?
Hello, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. Happy Sunday.
Good. Let's see. First of all, I'm Vince from Napa, California. I frequently call. I called the early breaks. So I figured I'd give you guys a holler.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Vince.
Hello. Let's see. Well, anyhow, relevant to expectations and what it's going to take to feel like a successful season for Nebraska, I don't think it's as simple as just simply making a bowl game. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that's the first thing that needs to happen because we can't have another season where we're going home after Black Friday. But I think you kind of have to look at how the season plays out in real time because now, let's say we go 5-7, a la 2015 Mike Riley, and get to a bowl game. Even if you win, that's 6-7. That's still going to feel kind of hollow. 6-6 with a bowl game win or a loss, like okay. 7-5 with a bowl game loss, that's going to feel kind of meh. But I would say 8 wins in the regular season would be the first thing that would make you feel good. But I think you have to look at how it plays out in real time. I keep seeing a lot of people saying, well, this team's going to go 7-5. I actually think 7-5 is the least likely possibility. And because what I say will happen is, or what not what will happen, but would be the more likely is if Nebraska goes 3-0. The first half of the season is gettable, and let's say they translate it to 5-1, then I would say 9-3 is on the table because they'll have the confidence to win some of those games they didn't win in the past. On the other hand, though, let's say they lose the Illinois game, which I don't even want to think about, to be honest with you, then in that case, a 5-7 dud is more likely. I don't know where you guys land on it, but I'll take your thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you, Vince, from Napa, California.
What Vince raises there is a lot of momentum, like the season momentum. And that's what we've seen at Nebraska a lot is how you end the season is huge. Look at Scott Frost's first year. He goes out and has probably one of the most fantastic hype sub 500 finishes to a season ever.
Yeah.
Goes out. They compete with Iowa. They compete with Ohio State. They look good doing it. And they lose those games, but they lose them close. Gets Husker fans excited. And that's what Vince is talking about there is if you can do that, but translate it into wins and finish the season hot, Husker fans are going to be going crazy.
I also wonder, and maybe this is what I was trying to get at earlier as well, is that if Nebraska wins 6 games, there are ways that they can not look good but still win 6 games. There's a lot of toss-up games on this Nebraska schedule. If they start 3-0 and then, win a toss-up with Northwestern, because Northwestern's always a toss-up. They have them at home for homecoming this year. Iowa, Nebraska could squeak out. That's a toss-up game. Then you throw in a Minnesota. That's 6 wins right there. That are, if you win 3 toss-up games that are just grinding, not always the most pretty games, but normally just the grittiest team wins.
There are certainly wins that are going to mean more. They're going to be bigger wins for Nebraska in terms of just galvanizing the fan base and getting people excited for Husker football.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones you want to win. And of course, those are going to be the hardest ones to win because they mean more for you, but they're going to mean just as much, if not more, for these other programs that you're playing against.
And they'll also do, sorry to cut you off, they'll also do wonders for your program to building a stable, there's that word again, stability, a stable program.
Absolutely. And I think that's where there's a problem with this Husker schedule is just like every year, it starts incredibly easy and it finishes pretty daunting. All right. They have Ohio State and they have Michigan again this year. Those are almost easily penciled in losses.
I don't say Michigan is
Wisconsin
that
is
difficult.
tough. Wisconsin is tough for Nebraska. Iowa is tough for Nebraska. Those are 4 teams that are all in the back half of the season. So I think there's a lot of potential for Nebraska to build a lot of momentum, get a lot of excitement in the first half of the season, but then absolutely lose it in the second half. And as we've seen time and time again, these Husker teams are heavily influenced by the overall euphoria of the state or the lack thereof. So if they go out and win a lot of games, that could get them excited and get them galvanized to a couple more wins. But the moment they take a bad loss, everyone's going to freak out and feel like the wheels are falling off again.
And that's exactly where I keep going back to week 1. And this is going to sound like coach talk. Week 1 is the most important game on this Husker schedule.
I absolutely disagree. Jake has been saying the same thing on early break. I don't think Illinois is the most important game. You certainly want to win that game, and it's certainly an important game. But the most important game is the Oklahoma game.
But by your standard or your thought just there was that this Nebraska football program plays how the state perceives them.
Exactly. And what's gonna be a better litmus test for where Nebraska's at? Illinois or Oklahoma? Oklahoma will be. That's a rivalry game. That's going to be a big game. I don't expect them to win. I do not.
Yeah.
But if they go out and get blown out by 40, get blown out by 40, that is going to feel like the wheels are falling off. No matter how we start the season. If we start the season 3-0 and get destroyed by Oklahoma, every Husker fan is going to look at that and say, nationally, we're irrelevant. Sure, we can compete with Fordham, Buffalo, and Illinois, but nationally, we're irrelevant. If they can go out and if they can keep Oklahoma within 10 points the entire game, keep it close, maybe end up losing by 17 at the end, but they kept it close the entire game, maybe even held a lead at one point in the second quarter, I think that would feel pretty good for Husker fans. And it's pathetic to say that, but that's where we're at as a team. I think Oklahoma is the most important game on the schedule because of where it sits just before the rest of the conference schedule and after we've supposedly been able to build this momentum and this confidence.
You're saying that if Nebraska doesn't go out and beat Illinois, let's say Nebraska loses by 3 touchdowns to Illinois, that's not going to put a sour taste in your mouth for the whole season?
It's easier to forget about early losses.
I disagree.
It's Virginia Tech beat Ohio State the year they won the national championship. Do you think anyone thinks about the Virginia Tech loss that year anymore?
This Nebraska program needs to start off on the right foot if they're going to have a successful season.
I don't disagree with you. I said the Illinois game was important. I just did not agree with the fact that it's the most important game.
But everybody's expecting us to lose to Oklahoma. Everybody's expecting Nebraska to beat Illinois. Especially if you pair that with Brett Bielema being in his first season.
Everyone expects Nebraska to lose to Oklahoma. What's important is how they lose to Oklahoma.
I agree
because
with
if you get blown out, that's a terrible look.
Once again,
it is the big noon kickoff game on Fox. It's national primetime. Fox is going to put a lot of advertising into that game. There are going to be eyes on that game. That is the most important game for Nebraska. And that's why it looked bad that they already tried to get out of it.
Yeah.
So that is just that all that talk is going to be brought back up the week before the game on Fox. You're going to be seeing a lot of advertisements. Joel Klatt is going to be talking about how Nebraska tried to get out of this game because he's a Colorado quarterback, and he hates Nebraska because we destroyed Colorado when he was there. Oklahoma, there's going to be so much hype. There's going to be so much national attention on that game. How they lose that game is going to be the most important thing this season.
I agree with you that it's all about the product that you put on the field, but personally, if Nebraska doesn't start off 1-0, this season does not show much. How can you expect to beat Buffalo? How do you expect to compete with Northwestern or Minnesota if you cannot get out of a week one game against Illinois with a head coach that is in his first season with the team?
I understand what you're saying. You're saying get through the first game and then Oklahoma's the most important after that.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything hinges on how you start the season. I understand what you're saying.
And we both agree that
I understand what you're saying.
This program plays on how the state perceives this program.
I understand what you're saying, Nick. Illinois is an important game. It's probably number 2 on the list, but it's certainly not number 1 because of where it sits in the schedule. It's easy. If they went out and won 11 games after Illinois, do you think anyone would? Everyone would be like, wow, we could have been 12-0, but we lost Illinois. Yeah. You can make up for a week 0 loss. You can make up for a week 0 loss. But Oklahoma is going to be the one that fans remember. That is going to be the game that fans think about because it's a rivalry game, because it's the 50th anniversary of the game of the century, because it's prime time. It's going to get talked about. There are going to be a ton of ads. Fox is going to put a lot of money into that game. That is the most important game on the schedule.
402-464-5685. When we come back, we'll wrap up NBA playoff discussion. Let us know what game you think is the most important game on this Husker football program schedule, and we'll get to it after the break here on the Student Section.
More of the Student Section next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Early break with Sip and Jake.
Jim Furyk is on the 18th green with Stephen Ames, who had a bad day. I think I'm out of the way of everything. I'm right by the stands. Yeah. There's a camera guy right to my left, and I was out of his way initially. And then I looked behind me and saw people are trying to see, so I kneel. I ducked down, not knowing that when I ducked down, I was right in the camera's spot. Yes, as he's focusing on Stephen Ames, and this guy goes, "Get the hell out of the way!"
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning.
Our Remington Homes has really expanded and taken off in the last 5 years.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders talking about their exciting new division, Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
The exciting thing about a Remington home is you get to choose your floor plan from predetermined floor plans. You can select your options. We give you a lot of choices. By selecting certain floor plans, they're just easier to build. And you couple that with our great lot selection in all different areas. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
It's still scorching hot outside, but soon enough, you'll be back in stadiums again for the first time in 2 years, donning all your favorite fall attire. Gear up for the season with 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of Big Ten Media Days on July 22nd and 23rd, live from Indianapolis. Connor Happer, DP, and Steve Sipple will be in Indy for our shows on Thursday and Friday, getting the latest news from Nebraska and everyone else around the conference. Coverage of Big Ten Media Days is brought to you by T.O. Haas Tire and Auto, Pillar Restaurant Group, and Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers Real Estate.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
We're out to prove that having a face for radio is just a myth, and you can decide for yourself by watching all of our shows on 93.7 The Ticket on the new video stream, sponsored by Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Now you can watch Early Break, DP and Stevens, The Recruiting Hour, The Drive, and more on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube every day and in real time. Watch 93.7 The Ticket shows today and every day on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers video stream on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
Everyone is always looking for a place to hang out on Sundays. Have you tried out the Fox Bar and Grill? Enjoy a handmade Bloody Mary or a mimosa for $4 each. And stay tuned for info soon about brunch and a Bloody Mary bar coming in the near future. Look no further than the Fox for your Sunday hangout, and check them out on weekdays for all-you-can-eat pizza for lunch too. It's the Fox Bar and Grill with new ownership, just south of 14th and Pine Lake at 1245 Libra Drive.
Now back to the student section with Big Sky and Nick Sainert.
From not the text line, but my phone, Mike Petrick, Big Sky Dad, Big Sky Senior, says that if Nebraska goes 1-11 but beats Oklahoma, it's a successful season in his mind. So it's 2-1, Nick.
I do agree with that, but I would hope that if Nebraska beats Oklahoma or finds a way to beat Oklahoma, that they win more than one game.
It seems improbable, but at the same time, can you just really rule it out in the scheme of Nebraska football?
Rule what out exactly? That they
won
11, but they beat Oklahoma?
Yes.
No, that's the thing. But
Nebraska would do that. They would start the season 0-3, get everyone angry, probably no one watching the game, go up and beat probable number 1 Oklahoma Sooners team, and then finish the season with a solid 0-8.
Yeah, here's my thought is that Nebraska could play a big part in destroying a national title hope.
Absolutely. We could be the team on the resume that makes the College Football Playoff Committee go, well, they're 10
Nebraska's a really bad loss for Oklahoma.
They're 10-2, and that the Texas loss isn't bad because Texas is number 7, but
Nebraska, who's 1-11, that loss is bad. And at home, they beat them in Norman.
Yes, yeah. So that's why one of the reasons why I think Nebraska could be Oklahoma could be one of the biggest games for Nebraska's schedules. The playoff hopes of the Sooners, the middle of the season going into the conference season. It's your last chance to have momentum going into the conference season.
Yeah,
it's against a rival. There's going to be a lot of eyes on the game. It's everything. Every time
there's definitely a huge opportunity.
Every time I think about the Oklahoma game, I think of more reasons why it's the biggest game on the schedule, and it's painful to say that really because you want it to be a conference game, that the must-win game on your schedule or the must-perform well game on your schedule you should always want it to be a conference game because you want to do well in your conference.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma is just so much bigger than any of the Big Ten teams.
And I think the reason I chose Illinois or week 1, not because it's in the conference, just because it's week 1. And I feel like if Nebraska starts out 0-1, this city, that the fan base, the program is going to crumble because we've seen it happen in the past where one loss destroys this team. We haven't seen these guys be able to bounce back from a tough loss.
And we've seen how this team responds to close losses against top teams. And in the first year of Scott Frost, they go out and they go to the shoe and they compete with Ohio State. And they come out the next week and they're energized and there's a lot of excitement around the fan base. If they go out and they compete against Oklahoma, we're going to have 8 games of that excitement because they hey, we can compete with a top team in the country. Why can't we compete with every team in the Big Ten?
Yeah.
So that is one of the biggest reasons why I am always going to say Oklahoma is the most important, as long as and it depends on how they lose. If they
on the field.
If they win, it's going to be so insane and so improbable, and this state will lose its mind that it's so improbable. I'm not even going to entertain it as a chance on the show. It's how they lose that game. If they can keep it close and they can lose close, that is going to be huge for the program.
Couple minutes left here on the student section. Big Sky, Game 6 of the NBA Finals is Tuesday night. Milwaukee has a chance to close it out after they won last night. First of all, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are playing huge roles. I told you before the show that Milwaukee's not here without them.
Well, absolutely not, because we saw Giannis go down in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez even putting the Bucks on their back and carrying them through the Eastern Conference Finals against the Trae Young Hawks. So certainly you cannot say that every person on the Bucks who's played significant time this playoffs has contributed significantly to the finals run. And they're closing it out in Game 6. It's in Milwaukee. They're an exceptional home team, exceptional defensive team. They destroyed the Suns in Game 3 at home and then held them off in Game 4 at home. I have supreme confidence. I was confident in them even after a 0-2 start to this finals. I just don't like the Suns matchup against the Bucks. I think the Bucks play too good of defense, and they have too many guys capable of stopping Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Let me ask you this real quickly. Is Chris Paul done after this year?
In Phoenix, maybe, but I don't think he's done in the NBA.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk that he's looking for another big money contract, actually.
Which, has he put himself in position?
With this playoff run, I think he has.
Okay. I would agree with you as well. We are out here. We have about 30 seconds left. Just want to send thoughts out to the people that were at the Nationals Padres game last night. I just read that 4 people were shot. I thought it was 3. I just read that it was 4 people were shot outside of the Nationals game last night at Nationals Park. So thoughts to them out there. Also, Alex Verdugo was hit by a baseball. So a lot of interesting stuff going on in the MLB world last night. We are out. If you missed any of the show, check it out on the podcast, ticketfm.com. Till next week, Big Sky, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's